Yeah, big story here this weekend, and I'm just like to tell you the latest in weather. It's actually heating up. It's hotter than it's been all weekend, but you're right, the big story is the new Dunlop Fatty, as they're calling it, just slightly wider than before. Now, Shaky will be able to tell you a 195 compared to what this Fatty is called a 205. I'll let Shaky explain that. Suffice to say that the 195, good enough for 2 wins in World Superbikes for Shaky last year, but they have come up, they've sort of basically made a development in terms of what Michelin had developed, and they're very happy with it. Looks as though the pole man Sean Emmett's going to go with that. Let's have a quick word with him. Sean, we've been talking tyres, and obviously Dunlop have made a move for this weekend, and you're going with it.
Yeah, they've got a new tyre out which they've just developed, and it seems to work pretty good. We've done pretty much a race distance on one, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, it seems pretty good.
What are its characteristics?
Just it seems to have a bit more drive out the corners, and longevity-wise, it seems to be very consistent. And obviously, all tyres go off a certain amount after a few laps, but this seems to go off and then just level out. So that's quite encouraging for a rider. It gives you nice confidence.
Let's hope it starts well, because that's the key today, isn't it?
Yeah, get away well, and then there'll be a few back markers, but there's a few places to pass, and if not, get the elbow out.
He's not adverse to using it either. Sean Emmett on pole position. Let's see if John Reynolds is ready for a quick chat. I know he hates to talk just before a race, but we've been talking about this new tyre. Are you going with it?
Yeah, we are, Jonathan. We're going to give it a go. We did quite a few laps yesterday. It was fine, but the weather conditions have changed really now, so we'll see what happens.
It's a little bit warmer. What difference will that make?
Well, fingers crossed it's actually going to work in the favour of the tyre. So, it was cold for the last 2 days, and the tyre worked reasonably well then, so hopefully it should make it better. But the thing is, everybody's on the same tyre.
Have you got a horn on that Suzuki?
That was just desperation, really. You're on about last weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly going to come into play this weekend for sure. There's going to be back markers, and it's going to be one hell of a race, isn't it?
Good, we're looking forward to it. One hell of a race, and if John Reynolds describes it as such, it's going to be fun. Just want to quickly congratulate Yukio, because he's just had a baby. Nana has been born, and congratulations, Yukio, from all your British fans. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm happy both is are getting front row and getting new baby. Thank you, Ingrid. Yes.
And you're off to Japan tomorrow to go and celebrate, yeah?
Yeah, I go to tomorrow, flight to Japan.
Well, you better go and get it 2 more wins. Best
numbers. The start is so important here. Everybody is watching behind the grilled fence of the pit lane, and I don't know, I'm nervous at the way this start might go. Sean Emmett then leans over the bike to try and keep the front end down as he dumps the clutch. Now they're away for the first time. Then 30 laps are over for the 2004 British Superbike Championship, and it's Kagayama that got a start, but so did Reynolds round the outside of a lot of them as they get the paddock hill bend for the first time. Well, I nearly crashed in turn 1 just trying to shout it out. Up in the Druids, and it's Kagayama and Reynolds team racing at the moment. Reynolds goes to the front, Kagayama riding shotgun, and then it's the Yamaha of number 6. That is unbelievable. Gary Mason, well, he was happy with the motorcycle this morning, and pulsing the way through is the 2 Kawasaki's of Scott Smart first, and it looks like Glenn Richards next up as well, and then also Steve Prater in there as well. No, it's not, it's Emmett on 5. So, what an opening couple of bends here already, and they're all through as we come up towards Clearways. Neil, I'm going to have to give you a bit of a go at this because I'm going to run out of breath by
now. Right, okay, and as we suspected, Michael Rutter didn't make a good start. He's in 7th position there behind Scott Smart on the 2nd Kawasaki. But the big surprise is Gary Mason, number 6 there on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha, away in 3rd place. Fantastic, and he loves this circuit, but they have been up troubles with their bikes.
Came through from the 3rd row of the grid. Young Gary Mason just... big crash there. That is Emmett taken out by the Kawasaki. Emmett got it a bit sideways, it looked to me, down the dip.
And Glenn Richards down as well.
And Glenn Richards, of course, it was Glenn Richards that clouded the back of Sean Emmett. We might well have a red flag here because there's a lot of motorcycle laid in the middle of the track. That's Glenn Richards. No, it's not. Is it?
That's Glenn Richards.
It is Glenn Richards, you're right. Sorry, for a moment I thought it was Scott. It looked like Scott's face in there.
That's really opened the gap there between Scott Smart in 4th position
Safety
and Michael
car.
Rutter in 5th.
Safety car is out then, so the safety car now will form the bikes up behind them, and you can see Sean Emmett that was in the crowd there. He was stood the other side of the fence. Well, that is a disaster. He's not hurt, but really that has done absolutely no good. I can't wait to see that replay again, because it looked to me like Emmett jinked to the right hand side of the track to try and get to the inside at Druids on the way up into the hill, and it looked like Glenn Richards was going the opposite way and whacked the rear end of Sean Emmett as they came up the hill.
That was a big spill, 135 mile an hour up the hill to Druids there as they dropped down from Paddock Hill.
Talk us through this, Neil, please.
Yeah, they come out of Paddock.
Oh, Emmett lost it.
A bit of a moment. He had a bit of a moment in the middle of Paddock. He fell down the side of the bike, obviously lost a lot of speed. Glenn Richards was committed and ran right into the back of him.
Wow.
Nasty accident, but hopefully these two guys are okay. Looks like Sean Emmett's okay, but Glenn Richards, we saw, was just lying there on the grass.
So Glenn Richards then, the unfortunate victim of a slight mistake there from Sean Emmett. Sean Emmett, well, obviously he's wound up like a spring. We heard Paul Bird's quote a little bit earlier, and I think Glenn Richards is winded for sure. Hopefully there is no other injury. Glenn Richards took a tumble yesterday as well in qualifying. Incidentally, at no, I didn't say Mackenzie Corner, did I? No, it's Cooper Straight.
That was 120 mile an hour crash there, because as they drop, they're 100 mile an hour mid-corner there at Paddock. As they get to the bottom of the hill, they're at least doing 120 miles an hour, and you can see that's where the impact was. But it's really just unfortunate that Sean Emmett had a bit of a moment, and he just lost his footing on the pegs, and he fell down the side of the bike, and of course lost his drive, lost his speed, and Glenn Richards unfortunately was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Very unusual type of accident. I mean, Sean Emmett, that type of mistake, it's easily done, but not easily done usually by someone of his standard, especially here. I mean, he just looked like he lost the back end of the motorcycle and slipped over the side of it.
It was no one's fault. He was keen to get on the power in the middle of Paddock Hill, and he just had a bit of a moment, but nothing really happened. You can see back end goes sideways, and he just lost his balance. He nearly fell off the inside of the bike, but
tell you what,
he would have regained his composure there. Unfortunately, Glenn Richards, as I say, was right behind him and had nowhere to go.
A lap or two.
Actually, he was trying to avoid him because he could see that Sean Emmett was in trouble. He tried to come down his inside, but Sean then veered off to the right as well.
A lap or two later, and there might have been a bit more of a gap, of course, for Glenn Richards to take avoiding action. But Sean Emmett is perfectly okay, and he's walking back to pit lane now. And obviously we are under a pace car situation while they clean the track up there. Well, we can go straight down to pit lane now because Paul Bird is with Jonathan Green.
With me now, and real quick, obviously you saw that's not what you want to see. What happened?
Yeah, I just don't think Sean got a really good start, to be fair. Maybe just a little bit over anxious early doors, but it looked as though he sort of lost a bit of grip with his inside foot, and maybe lost the balance on the bike, and unfortunately Glenn couldn't avoid him, and that was it. They both went down, so it's just unfortunate. But
you obviously haven't seen him yet, but I'm glad he's up. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously Sean looks all right. See him walking back on the monitor, so not so bad. But never mind, that's the way it goes, isn't it?
All right, we'll let you go and talk to your rider. Thanks for talking to us. Yeah, that's the latest down here. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Jonathan. Well, we are on lap 5 of the 30. What a drama this has already turned out to be here at Brands Hatch. A huge crowd, and we really didn't expect it to start in quite that manner, we have to say. Now, let's have a quick run through the lineup as they are at the moment. Number 2, John Reynolds leads. 71 Kagayama in second place. Third is the sensational Gary Mason on the number 6 Virgin Mobile Yamaha. 88 Scott Smart in 4th place at the moment. Dean Thomas, bit of work to do on bike number 12 in 5th place. Michael Rutter didn't make that start, as we were talking about right at the beginning. So Michael Rutter has slipped from 4th on the grid to 6th overall on bike number 3. Tommy Hill, the ex-R6 Cup champion, or the reigning R6 Cup champion it should be said, he's riding his prize out there, and he's riding the 2004 bike now as well, not the 2003 bike. So a little bit of confidence there for Tommy Hill. He had an off yesterday. He's very stiff indeed at the moment. So the youngster soldiering on.
Doing a good job. The lights have gone off in the pace car on the safety car, so it'll be in this lap, and then the rest will get back underway.
We are up Clark Curve into Clearways Corner, the infamous Clearways, as the power goes on. Lights are off on the pace car. That will pull in now into pit lane, and we are back under racing conditions as they look for the power on Clearways Corner. It's John Reynolds then that gets the drive. Yukio Kagayama trying to protect from Gary Mason. Gary Mason looking for a way up the inside of Kagayama at Paddock Hill Bend. Not this time round though. Wow, Paddock Hill dropping down now to where they've just cleaned all the racetrack up. Reynolds is there first and foremost. Then it's his teammate, Rizla Suzuki. Well, Reynolds here was a bit good in the World Superbike round. If you remember battling with Shaky Byrne last year, the Suzuki and John Reynolds both like this track and make it work. And like Sean Emmett, when I spoke to John Reynolds this morning and his wife Shelley, he seemed very keen and very clean indeed this morning, and very relaxed. Scott Smart, 3rd place on the Hawk Kawasaki. If you remember, last time out, 2 weeks ago, it was developed It still had the key in it, the ignition key from the standard road bike setup that was on it. That ZX-10 is a very new motorcycle indeed, and probably one of the most underdeveloped motorcycles out on the track, as is the R1 Yamaha, right behind it of Gary Mason. Well, whatever those boys did at Virgin Mobile last night, and they were still struggling a little bit with feedback on that bike. They say it's a long-term project. It caught them out a little bit at Silverstone. Improvement. Gary Mason is riding the wheels off it in 4th place.
Well, as we said at Silverstone, the Kawasaki and the Yamaha were 2 bikes that were going to get better as the season goes on, and we can see that's happened right here. Scott Smart has really adapted well to that new ZX-10 Kawasaki. Really happy on it, and I met him today and he said, "Oh, what was wrong with you, Neil? You were nice to me at Silverstone on TV." And I said, "Well, I didn't feel I was ever not nice to you, but you're doing a good job and you deserve a bit of praise. And look at this, looking at a rostrum position."
Well, the thing that I'm most interested in is the man that I've been banging the drum about all week, Dean Thomas, the Australian, comes up from Supersport last year. He's pretty well experienced, there's no doubt about it. Very likeable Aussie indeed. Bike number 12, there he is, the Sendo Ducati. And, well, Enzo Di Clementi will be joining us here in the commentary position a bit later on in the day. But his man is Dean Thomas, and he's been getting around this racetrack. He was held up a little bit in qualifying yesterday, couldn't get a fast lap in, but still started from 5th on the grid. I suspect he would have been quicker than that, and at least on the front row, because at one point he was the quickest man out on the racetrack. So watch out for number 12, Dean Thomas. But it's Michael Rutter that's closed right up on him on that HRC Honda. The HM Plant Honda, of course, is right there on the back of this bunch.
Michael Rutter's teammate, Rio Chianari, he's down in 18th position. I watched him on the grid and he anticipated the start, then he had to go, then stop and then go again. It was right down in 18th position, so a disastrous start for Chianari, Rutter's teammate.
Well, I can tell you that one man that's going to be extremely happy down in pit lane is Paul Denning. Anxious moments in the first race at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago. Certainly this is what he's come here to see, and this is what the Rizzo Suzuki guests have come to see, is the two bikes out in front, the two Suzukis out of the four-cylinder bikes. They are the best developed ones as Yukio lights up the rear end, and that is the part of the track that Scott Smart is stunning on the brakes down there on the Kawasaki. The 88 Kawasaki, I watched him in qualifying yesterday, and there is nobody that brakes down Graham Hill as quick, as hard as Scott Smart there. You can see Smarty in 3rd place, his dad's here, Paul Smart, you remember, and he's got a great nice tight line there, he turns good, look at that. Turn very, very good. Yukio all at sea, a little bit out on the wide line. He'll have plenty of slingshot onto the front straight, and we know that GSXR is not a slug in a straight line. But Yukio just seems to be a little bit anxious sitting in that saddle.
He is. He hasn't raced at this circuit before because we didn't have a round here last year, and he was injured at the last round of the season. But Yukio Kageyama, he's 99% fit here. Not very sure about Clearway, still learning it. He says he needs a race to get a race under his belt just to suss it out completely. Scott Smart, he retains his 250 style in a lot of ways. He rushes into the corner but maintains good corner speed.
He's superb down that particular part of the racetrack. Scott Smart, well, the traditional passing places here, of course, are up in the Paddock Hill bend, the right-hander after the start and finish, and then Druids, that tight hairpin, well, it's not that tight, but the hairpin at the top of the hill. And really, they are the traditional two braking places that you would look for an inside line on. But Scott Smart, if all else fails, he's got that opportunity down Graham Hill where he's particularly good. Still Mason in 4th place on 6th. Rutter, though, comes underneath Dean Thomas. Michael Rutter goes through on the HM Plant Honda into 4th place now. And
Dean Thomas down the inside looking for a way up to Druids, but looks like Michael Rutter's got it covered.
Michael Rutter, I think his maturity shows through now. He won't be fazed by the fact that he got a bad start. Remember how he worked so hard at Silverstone?
Scott Smart is under Kageyama, I reckon.
Yeah, and that was at the bottom of Graham Hill. It's exactly where he is so very quick. As Kageyama fights back, and he has managed to squeeze that GSXR Suzuki back under Scott Smart, but Smarty down the bottom of Graham Hill. There is nobody. I saw them fixing his brakes in pit lane just a little bit earlier on, putting some more fluid in it. I reckon he must have boiled it. Oh, and that's a mistake from Kageyama, getting a bit loose at the rear end there. Now then, talk tyres. We heard a little bit from Jonathan on the grid. This new big flat profile thing that Dunlop are coming out with, of course it's Dunlop 1st, 2nd and 3rd at this moment in time, and 4th.
It is, yeah, the new rear tyre they've got is a 205 family tyre, and it has a range of compounds. It's basically got a bigger shoulder on it. The tyre's been around before, but the guys are all using it this weekend and getting on well with it.
But the only problem, as far as my understanding is, of course, is that the consistency of it, it's only been tested, I think, over about 20 laps of race distance here, so maybe this tyre could be a problem late on in this race. Doesn't really make a lot of odds if it's amongst the Dunlop runners, of course. It's only when the Michelin boys get in there. Now then, joining us in commentary is the man who had the old double win here last year, of course, Shane Byrne. Nice to see you again, Shaky. What do you make of all this? JR then, system normal. He was your major flea in your ear during the course of last year, and here he is blasting away at the front.
Yeah, I mean, JR's always going to be there, isn't it? Doesn't matter where you are or what track you're at, or you know how testing's gone, how practice gone. You know, he's always going to be there. He's always going to be strong. And to be honest, my prediction for the race was what did I say? Emmett, Reynolds, Rutter.
You did.
You know, Sean's got whatever's happened to him. The first race that's happened, and he's not going to be there. But JR's doing me proud.
What about the Yamaha of Gary Mason now? He's having a right old ride out there, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, Gary's riding awesome, and I watched him a bit yesterday because he said to me, oh, you know, where do you think I'm going wrong? What looks bad or whatever? And I said to him, how can you ask me? I don't know. You look on it. Your bike looks good. You know, just get out there and enjoy yourself. And seems to be running real tight lines there, and you know, bike seems to turn good. So hopefully Gary can hold on for a podium. He desperately needs a podium.
Well, he might have had the tight line coming into Clearways, but certainly on the way out of it, it was Michael Rutter that got the drive on the HM Plant Honda, and he has blasted past the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. The new R1 is being developed to the nth degree, but I spoke with Rob Mack just before we came on air. They were concerned about the fact they were a bit behind at Silverstone, but they've got lots of things to try, and it certainly looks like it's working here at Brands Hatch at this moment in time. So they're racing. Oh, what's happening here? We've got a back marker in the way. That could cause all sorts of trouble. 26. Looks like he's pulling out of it. It's Chris Martin on the Car Masters Racing Suzuki, but didn't. And this is going to be the big talking point of this race day, I feel, is back markers. Because we have got a 30-lap race, because it is on such a short lap, it is going to be an absolute pain. Neil?
That is the downside to this circuit. It's a short lap, it's a 46-second lap, so unfortunately they'll catch the back markers. It's a bit early to catch a back marker just now, but certainly towards the end of the race, back markers will come into play, and that's really can throw the race for the front guys.
Well, we're already over half distance, and we've done 16 laps. That's unbelievable how quick it actually goes here on the 1.2-mile track. But we are looking at Dean Thomas on the Sendo Ducati. He now wants to displace Gary Mason on the R1 Yamaha from the position that Mason's in, which is 5th. Dean Thomas all over him. He's in 6th place. Steve Plater, I can tell you, is in on bike number 4. He's in 7th at the moment. And Sam Cork on bike 15 is the leading privateer. He's in 8th place overall, just in front of Tommy Hill on the other Samsung Yamaha. So,
well, the guy on the move is Rutter. He's 1.1 seconds behind Scott Smart in that last lap. Let's just check that gap coming over the start finish now.
As we wait for that gap, we look at Dean Thomas, who's having a right battle now as he gets up the inside of Gary Mason. He got good drive out of clearways. He's into Paddock Hill bend braking area now. Gary Mason on the outside is going to have to give best. Dean Thomas then goes up into Mason's position.
Into 4th position there. Yeah, and Michael Rutter is closer to Scott Smart. It's under a second now.
You just saw Dean Thomas have a bit of a bobble in the middle of Druids Corner there as he drops down Graham Hill now into the newly formed, a couple of years ago, park Graham Hill bend onto the Cooper Straight. That's where all the accidents were yesterday. Reynolds, Kagayama, Smart. John Reynolds has the fastest lap of the race so far. That was on lap 8. Rutter, Thomas and Mason are the following 3 riders. Steve Plater still in 7th place. Sam Cork, the best of the privateers, in 8th place for the Superbike Cup. And then Tommy Hill, 9th. John Kirkham, Kieran Clark and Ryoichi Kiyanari, well, somewhat uncharacteristically, well down the order in 12th place. Not getting on with this track for the first race he's ever raced here.
He was off here on second day of practice, so not too badly beaten up, but yeah, that bad start really affected his race, really thrown his race. Making progress, but he's well off the leaders.
Well, as we see John Reynolds powering his way along the bottom straight now. Here he is, he's well out in front. This is easier than I think John Reynolds could have ever imagined or wanted it to be at this particular point. Still a little way to go yet, and good news from pit lane. Glenn Richards has been declared fit for race 2 in the Superbike. So Glenn Richards, despite the fact being winded, you saw that horrendous accident in the early lap, he is declared fit for race 2. So we will see him back out on the spare Hawk Kawasaki, I'm sure. John Reynolds at paddock, followed by his teammate Yukio Kagayama. Well, never, I was about to say overshadowing his teammate Yukio Kagayama, but of course Yukio Kagayama is still not 100% fit yet, but he's getting better by the day.
He's not quite there yet, but considering he never raced on this Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch before, he's doing a good job. But Scott Smart is getting a bit closer now, and Michael Rutter, 4th position there, is getting closer to Scott Smart.
Well, a podium for Scott Smart would be a dream, but you've got to say that Michael Rutter is putting smooth lap on top of smooth lap, and once he got his momentum after that lousy start, Rutter has just been chipping away at it. I'm surprised not to see a fastest lap from Rutter, of course. First day of testing here was on Saturday, and it was very, very damp indeed, so maybe the Michelin tyre data as well is a little bit far, 1 day behind, remembering that Michelin, of course, haven't raced on this circuit for a number of years in the capacity that they are now.
Well, I think Dunlop have a chance, it's certainly at Brands here. A couple of years ago, Ben Bostrom on the Dunlop smoked everyone in World Superbike on the Michelin. So the Dunlops do work good here, they're working hard and fighting back at the Michelins, and they know they've got some serious competition this year with the HM Hondas and the Michelin, so they're working into a 3-way battle here though.
Excuse me if I leap out of my seat. Shane Byrne did as well, of course. Yukio Kagayama a little bit sideways out of Druids. We're looking at 71, Yukio Kagayama under a bit of pressure now from Scott Smart again, but of course his board will show where Rutter is, and Rutter is right there in 4th place at the moment on the HM Plant Honda. John Reynolds is away off the front. John Reynolds can lead and win this race from the front. Don't expect too many mistakes from him. He's 38 years old, he's vastly experienced, he was looking forward to this race. It's all systems normal, isn't it, with John Reynolds, Shaky?
Yeah, it certainly is, yeah. I mean, if John raced in this championship for another 5 years or 10 years, he'd probably still be the man to beat, He's just awesome. He's like a little machine, isn't he? He just gets out there and gets the job done, and, that's exactly what he needs to do. He's probably one of the straightest guys out there as well, He's a top bloke, and he's doing a great job at the moment. Yukio's running second, and it's all getting a bit closer.
What about Michael Rutter? Do you think he's paced himself just perfectly for pinching this second place. He's probably resigned himself to the fact that unless John Reynolds makes a mistake, he's going to have to settle for second place on the podium.
Yeah, I would have said that Michael will not be looking to win now, that's for sure, but I'm pretty certain that Michael will be second place, which would make my Emmett Reynolds and Rutter thing work out perfectly.
We hate smug people.
You know, it'd be good for me, but I don't think it'd be a long
Here we
time before you see him past Scott Smart.
Well, certainly Scott Smart. Scott Smart just looks like he's anxious to keep that third place as well. He's making that old Kawasaki a bit of a mover and a shaker. And bearing in mind there's the state of development for that ZX10 at the moment, I reckon that Hawk Kawasaki have made it's a real achievement what they're actually doing here at the moment.
He's doing a good job. Out of all the major teams in the grid, these are the guys that got the bikes last and have the least amount of development. Hardly any testing before the first round at Silverstone, and look at that bike working good, competing with the best Fireblade in the world there, the HRC CR 1000R behind them, and the best Suzuki Superbike in the world with Kageyama on board in front, so doing a brilliant job on that new Kawasaki. Scott Smart in third position.
The Marshals working hard here at the moment. They've just cleared number 27 Vince Whittle's Thunderchild Racing Ducati from oh, and here comes Rutter as I go on about Vince Whittle. He's gone out at clearways, but Michael Rutter is now up into that third place. He is chasing, yes, and Scott Smart just had a quick check in the mirrors to see who's following him. Dean Thomas is a long way back, but it is Michael Rutter. Well, you've got to say, forging ahead. He's now got the combination for me, Michael Rutter. He's got the experience, he's got the skill, he's just got the age and maturity to make it work when you get a lousy start. He's chipped away at it, he hasn't spun his tyres up, he hasn't worked the motorcycle too hard. He's using these 30 laps that he's got to cover absolutely skillfully.
And he's got the bike as well.
Always helps, of course. Let's take another look at this passing up the inside. He's getting good drive out of clearways. I think that's a point. If you don't get clearways absolutely right, you can't carry the momentum down that very, very short straight.
His bike turns good out of clearways. He's got good drive. It's very smooth out of the bumps, exiting clearways, and doesn't lose any time. Whereas Scott Smart is moving around a little bit there.
Shaky, glad you're not here and that you've shipped out to MotoGP. I mean, would this be a bit difficult for you?
Yes and no, really. I mean, it'd be awesome to be out there because, you know, to be fair, you'd be somewhere near the front, you know. And that's what racing's all about. You know, we all want to go racing to win races, and certainly MotoGP this year is going to be difficult for me to achieve a win. But you know, it's an awesome series, the British Superbike Championship, and it's real fun racing when you're at the front. And I'd certainly like to be out there mixing it, but I'm more than happy getting my son down in GP at the minute.
Yeah, we're all jealous of you. 61 Adam Hitchcock was the Superbike Cup runner that's moved over quite politely. Here comes Rutter, power underneath Yukio, and you can see there, I reckon the Suzuki's just struggling, on that particular Suzuki maybe, just struggling very slightly in that part of clearways to keep a line and to stop it from spinning.
Maybe a little bit, but it's
I think that's Paul Jones,
Paul Jones being lapped, that really caused that passing manoeuvre. It made it easy for Michael Rutter. He was just in the right position, got his normal drive, whereas Yuki was having to change line and lost a lot of drive out of clearways.
So Paul Jones, one of the Superbike Cup runners that is in 17th place overall at the moment, finds himself lapped. Back markers, I have to say, have not been as frightening as I thought they might be or predicted that they would be in this race, thankfully. Reynolds, Rutter, Kageyama, that's how it is on the track at the moment, and it's all about whether Yukio can come back at Michael Rutter, but somehow I don't think the three of us sat here are actually expecting that, despite the fact Neil might be willing it on.
No, I mean, Michael Rutter is so good, the bike's so smooth, he's riding so smooth, everything's working well, and he's been lapping faster than these guys, making his way through the field. Yukio will try, but he could well try and get into more trouble and cost him more time.
Oh, Dean Thomas, that's Dean Thomas, the Australian, in the dirt. Well, that'll teach us for tipping him for being one to watch, because Dean Thomas, great little rider, and I really didn't want to see it. This Sendo Ducati, it's a good team, it's a well-run team, it's looking very, very good out on the racetrack at the moment, and Dean Thomas really has proved to be a star, but out and down. Now then, that was at clearways as well. It's a bit quick just there. You wouldn't want to be stepping off. I'm looking at these lap times at the moment, and Reynolds, he was a tenth quicker than Rutter on that last lap, you know. So, I mean, John Reynolds is putting in some superb laps at the front, and the fact that Michael Rutter is not actually getting away that much from Yukio Kageyama and Scott Smart, I think indicates that Reynolds really is the man of this race.
Well, I think he's got an answer if he does have to race hard for Michael Rutter and indeed Sean Emmett in the next race. He's out there testing as well. He wants to see what the tyres will do. It's a new Dunlop rear tyre, so he wants to test that just to see what happens when he's running it for the full race distance, but it's looking good.
So, number 2, John Reynolds leads by a mile out front of the opening Superbike race today, the Think 2004 Superbike Series. Second place is Michael Rutter on bike number 3. 71 is Kageyama, and in third place at the moment. 88 is Scott Smart in fourth place. Gary Mason on bike number 6 of Virgin Mobile Yamaha is still there in fifth place. Then it's Ryuichi Kiyanari on bike 23 in sixth place. And the leading privateer on the Superbike Cup machine is, of course, Sam Cork, bike 15 in seventh place overall. And that's a great ride from Sam Cork. He knows his way around this racetrack, of course, but you've still got to make it work for you.
Certainly has. This will be good for Yukio because he can have a look behind Michael. He was really able to do it on his own at the front, but now he can have a look behind Rutter. I'm sure he's not going to be able to catch him now, but he can have a look at his lines and see what he's doing on the Honda, which will work good for race 2.
So tyres were the issue at the beginning of this weekend, and we are seeing Michelin making Dunlop, well, sit up and take notice. Of course, Dunlop being the favoured tyre of most of the British runners over the last few years, but Michelin coming in on that Works HM plant Honda that we're looking at the moment of Michael Rutter and of course his teammate Ryuichi Kiyanari really has upped the game. Dunlop have brought some new tyres out of the box that we wouldn't necessarily see usually. They were originally tested in World Superbike and MotoGP, I believe, but certainly World Superbike. And here we are. John Reynolds opting to go with that new tyre, a bigger, flatter profile tyre, working for him.
Well, you've got to put yourself in their position. It wouldn't be good if Michelin came for the first time in anger to British Superbikes and beat the Dunlops when the Dunlop guys have been dominating it for so many years, so they really have to dig deep and make it happen.
It's interesting to see now. I've been watching the last couple of lap times, and Michael was 2 tenths faster than John on 2 laps ago, a tenth faster last lap, the last lap just gone, and this lap, the lap that's just gone now, is actually 4 tenths quicker than John Reynolds. I know John Reynolds got a massive lead, but perhaps something to think about for the race too.
Well, good point. Just to bring that into graphic demonstration, 46.7 was the time that Rutter put up on that last lap, and at this situation in the race, and with tyre degradation being quite heavy, I would suggest that that is a hell of a lap time for a man that's 29 laps into things. 30th lap then, we are on the last lap. John Reynolds is your leader. He has a 2.1 second lead over second place Michael Rutter on bike number 3. Another superb ride from both John Reynolds, and I think equally Michael Rutter after not a particularly great start. You can see the back of the Suzuki spinning up. That won't bother JR at all. He's at Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight now. That's caught 1 or 2 good riders out, including our very own Neil McKenzie, and we're up towards Clark Curve and Clearways. Did I say I wasn't going to mention that again, Neil? Shaky can't speak for laughing. John Reynolds then comes round Clearways to open it up. He took the second race win at Silverstone. He's going to make the first race win here at Brands Hatch at round 2. It is JR on the Rizla Suzuki. That is just what Paul Denning ordered. Race 1, John Reynolds, look at that, 1.8 second lead over Michael Rutter, who has to be said was closing down by half a second a lap in the closing stages. Yukio Kagayama, Reynolds' teammate, in third place. Scott Smart fourth. Gary Mason a superb fifth. Rob Mack might even be smiling after that. Ryuichi Kiyanari in sixth place. Sam Cork, the best of the privateers, in seventh, and John Kirkham in 8th place. Tommy Hill, he's injured of course, but he's the best of the former R6 Cup men. He is the reigning champion in the R6 Cup, beating off Kieran Clark, another R6 Cup graduate. Steve Plater finishing in 11th place. Dennis Hobbs in 12th. Malcolm Ashley in 13th. 14th James Ellison, James Buckingham and Paul Jones round out the top 16. So a real war of attrition there as far as finishers were concerned. John Reynolds then 66 points now, a clear leader over Rutter by 5. Ryuichi Kiyanari stays in third place. Scott Smart moves up to 4th. Kagayama up to 5th. Sean Emmett slips back to 6th place, stays on the 24 points he had previously. Dean Thomas